Okay, proceed.
So good night, everyone. My name is Nicola Rahamat, and I will be your headmaster for this second debate. The topic of this debate is Men Make Better Leaders Than Women. The two teams debating tonight are Gryffindor arguing for and Hufflepuff arguing against. I just want to say that I hope everyone have read and understood the rules and guidelines of this debate, and I would like to remind you all that you are being timed, so please try to stay within your allotted time. Also, don't forget to use the raise hand feature if there are any questions that you would like to ask, and the chat feature is available for slight peekong and heckling. So, with that being said, I would like to invite Team Gryffindor, that is Mr. Weasley or Miss Weasley, to, to make their introduction.
Thank you, Headmaster. Good night, everyone. The members Gryffindor that is seated before you for this debate are Harry Potter, Ronald Weasley, Hermione Granger, and myself, Ginny Weasley. The topic that we are debating for is men are better leaders than women. My first point of argument is that men are better able to deal with crime and public safety as well as national security and defense as opposed to a woman, according to research done by the Pew Social Trends. These traits are necessary in a leader because we live in a risk-filled world, and all of our business organizations and everyone in that organization depend on a sense of security. And unfortunately, in the times we live in and the situations we deal with on a regular basis, we cannot afford to overlook this. Furthermore, leaders are not just limited to just organizations, meaning that this trait is needed especially in creating a safer environment, that is, the country. Hence my mention of national security and defense. Without national security, the space we live in will forever be more chaotic than it currently is. And from my research, there has not been any female ministers of national security in this country since 1962. And this concludes my contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Weasley. Your team has 3 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. We will now pause for a 2-minute intermission. Okay, so that concludes the intermission. I would now like to invite Mr. or Miss Sprout to begin their introduction for Hufflepuff.
Good evening, Headmaster and members of the House. The team presenting tonight is members of Hufflepuff. Men make better leaders than women, again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this debate. As we, the opposition, strongly believe that this is not true. As the first speaker, I will be talking about the characteristics of an excellent leader. Integrity is the practice of being honest, showing a consistent and uncompromising to strong moral and ethical principles and values. Ability to delegate. Delegating is one of the core responsibilities of a leader, but it can be tricky. To delegate effectively, the goal isn't just to free up yourself, it's also to enable your direct report, facilitate teamwork, provide independence, communication. You need to be able to communicate in a variety of ways, from transmitting information to coaching your people, and you must be able to listen and communicate with a wide range of people across roles. Self awareness. While this is more inwardly focused, still self awareness is paramount for leadership. The better you understand yourself, the more effective you can be. Gratitude. Being thankful can make you a better leader. Influence. For some people, influence feels like a dirty word, but being able to convince people through logical, emotional, or cooperative appeal is component of being an inspiring, effective leader. Courage. It can be hard to speak up at work, whether you want to voice a new idea, provide feedback to a direct report, or flatten things to someone above you. Respect. Treating people with respect on a daily basis, one of the most important thing a leader can do. It will erase tension and conflict within the organization. Survey conducted in
Hello, Miss
2018.
Sprout. Can you hold on for a moment? You're talking way too fast. Can you slow down a tad bit?
Sure, sorry.
All right, you may continue.
Survey conducted in 2018 confirmed women is far better leaders than men, as they possess the following qualities: honesty, more intelligent, hardworking, ambitious, outgoing, creative, and compassionate. As leaders need to take a hard look at what gets in the way of promoting women in their organization. Clearly, the unconscious bias that women do not belong in senior level positions plays a big role. It's imperative that organizations change the ways they make hiring and promoting decisions and ensure that women are given serious consideration as well within the organization. These individuals make those decisions need to pause and ask, are we succumbing to unconscious bias? Are we automatically giving the nod to men when they are equal competent to women? And as our data on confidence showed, there are need for organizations to give more encouragement to women. Leaders organization can ensure women of their competence, and encourage them to seek promotion earlier in their career. We, the opposition, strongly believe women do indeed make better leaders than men. This is the end of my introduction.
Thank you, Miss or Mr. Sprout. We will now have a 2 minute intermission, and your time remaining Hufflepuff is 1 minute and 31 seconds. Okay, so that concludes the intermission. I now invite Mr. Potter, I believe, for the rebuttal.
Good evening, Headmaster, and to all the members of the House. In 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13 and 14, it reads, For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression. Headmaster, another word for deceived is tricked or misled. Women are more emotional, insecure, and vulnerable, and as a result of that, cannot be better leaders than men. Based on research, one of the contributing factors to the emotional change is hormonal imbalance. This can hamper their ability to perform effectively in an organization. Headmaster, it goes to show that on a given day, a woman can perform a task to her best, and on another day, she can be in a state of disorder. This can also influence decision making. As a result, men are the foundation and we make better leaders. In another research, Headmaster, from a biological perspective, scientists explored 4 primary areas of differences in the male and female brains: processing, chemistry, structure, and activity. They used some medical techniques such as magnetic resonance imaging and computerized tomography scan to investigate differences in the size of structural brain components, such as the gray and white matters, in addition to physiological and neurological activity levels in various brain regions. It was proven, Headmaster, that the male brain has a larger total brain volume than a female by 8 to 13%. This makes us better at hearing, emotional control, speech sensory, perception, and muscle control, most of which are deemed necessary for leading. Though women may be more organized because of some parts of their brain, leading an organization, according to the traits theory, takes a lot more into account than just being organized. This concludes my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Potter. We will now have a 2-minute intermission, and you have 1 minute remaining for your team, Gryffindor. Okay, so time is up for the intermission. I now invite Miss Tonks to do the second rebuttal.
Good evening, Headmaster and honorable members of the House. Headmaster, I would like to further examine the characteristics mentioned by the previous speaker from Hufflepuff in her opening speech, which are mainly found in women. These characteristics which she listed includes integrity, empathy, honesty, and courage. I would like to examine these characteristics with exemplars of true and qualitative leadership, especially in the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic. Countries such as Iceland, Taiwan, Germany, New Zealand, and Finland are showing the world, Headmaster, that women leaders are stepping up and revealing that women have what it takes to lead their countries through this difficult crisis as compared to their male counterparts. Take, for example, Headmaster Tsai Ing-wen, who is the president of Taiwan. Under her leadership, Taiwan has effectively managed the containment of the coronavirus within their borders. And another example of true leadership is Jacinda Ardern, who is the Prime Minister of New Zealand. Under her leadership, New Zealand was one of the countries first to implement early lockdown when COVID-19 began to spread internationally. Headmaster, due to her leadership, the response that she led her country through in this crisis has resulted in a total of 2,080 cases where 1,997 patients recovered, and they only have a total of 28 deaths as at the 7th of December 2020, according to data provided by the New Zealand Ministry of Health. Headmaster, with respect to their male counterparts, take for example Donald Trump, who is the 45th President of the United States of America, who took a different approach in dealing with the coronavirus. This has resulted in the United States of America approaching a 20% unemployment rate, and they have the highest COVID-19 related death toll in the world, approximately 281,253. They currently have an estimation of 14,636,914 active cases, and with an additional 174,387 new cases reported as at the 7th of December 2020, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Headmaster, according to a BBC News article entitled Barack Obama, Women Are Better Leaders Than Men, which was dated the 16th of December 2019, Mr. Obama, who was the 44th President of the United States of America from 2009 to 2017, categorically states that if women ran every country in the world, there would be a general improvement in living standards and outcomes. He went on to further state that women aren't perfect, but are indisputably better than men. Mr. Obama also stated that most of the problems in the world came from old people, mostly men, holding onto position of power. Mr. Obama again stated, and I quote, "I'm absolutely confident that for 2 years, if every nation on earth was run by women, you would see a significant improvement across the board on just about everything." And that concludes my argument, Headmaster.
Thank you, Ms. Tonks. Wow. We now take a 2 minutes intermission again, and there's only 10 seconds remaining. Team Hufflepuff. Okay, so the intermission has ended. I just want to correct something that I said before when I said Team Hufflepuff had 10 seconds remaining. It was 1 minute and 41 seconds, correction. I now invite Mr. Weasley and Miss Granger to the floor.
Pleasant evening, Headmaster. I want to invite you and my friends on the other side to think of a great leader. Take 1 second to think of a great leader, right? And I know in taking that second, for most of you, a male would have come to mind. And that is not abnormal. That is normal because men are better leaders and women, right? The inclination towards male bosses um, is because men are more influential and less emotional than women. Men are also exhibit a greater magnitude of power, which is essential for every team leader, right? And whilst women have made strides within recent generation, women have still struggled to eliminate this stereotype, and that's why men continue to be the best leaders out there. Um, I noted that my colleague on the other side stated that she highlighted some women who did awesome jobs within the COVID-19 pandemic, and I must applaud them. However, I must point out that out of the 193 member states of the United Nations, fewer than 10% of them are led by women. And despite the fact that these women who did so much good within this time, there are over 100 countries that also battled this pandemic, and they also did a good job, and they were led by men, right? I also like to point to the United States. Only 28% of American CEOs are women, right? Personal Psychology analyzed more than 100 papers on leadership emergence published 1957 and 2017 and found that only 28% of American CEOs are women. And to top it all off, in America, there is something called the Fortune 500 companies. Of the 500 companies, only 38 companies are led by women. Now, my friends on the other side might argue that this is only 38 because of the stereotype or the failure to break the glass ceiling. But what I would say is that a Fortune 500 company is $1 million making company. And the leaders of these organizations, they want to ensure that the company continues to make millions of dollars. So they ensure that they have the best leadership. And the best leadership is a male leadership. And that's why this figure continues to be less than 10% and will continue to be so for a number of years. Right? Another reason why men will continue to be greater leaders than women is because are women in power tend to defeat their own selves. Women are competitive with other women, sometimes referred to as the queen bee syndrome. There is some evidence that successful women undermine the success of other women due to sense of competitiveness. So rather than working towards greater leadership, they have to fight off competition from other women, and this affects their ability to fully maximize their leadership potential. Another reason why male leadership is very good for an organization and men will always be better leaders is that women who report to women may exhibit more health issues. So I invite my friends on the other side, if you know you have a female leader now, get a man because it might affect your health in the long run. One study found that women who report to female managers are more likely to show up for work with headaches, stomach aches, neck pain, muscle aches, and suffering more psychological symptoms such as anxiety, trouble sleeping, and difficulty focusing. So, the bottom line, as I conclude, are women better leaders than men? I believe so. And the reason why I believe so is because men have been performing these leadership functions for years. And whilst women have been making strides, there is still too few women leaders for us to know conclusively that women could take over this mantle fully from the men and carry the torch. Thank you.
Headmaster, the House Hufflepuff have continuously and erroneously stated that women are better leaders than men, as we have substantiated repeatedly that men are indeed better leaders than women. Research found that women themselves also strongly concur that men are better leaders. We cannot undermine this fact because Obama says women are better leaders than men, as stated by the member of Hufflepuff. Without any doubt, women have, with the support of men, gained the opportunity to attain leadership positions within the workplace. As our first speaker stated, women are more emotional and vulnerable than men. Our first speaker also presented the argument that the traits theory takes a lot more than being organized, but rather a series of characteristics and qualities. As our second speaker dwell on, that women as leaders start to exhibit the queen bee syndrome, sabotaging others' success, especially other women, in order to feel competent in their roles. Whereas men who are leaders exhibit camaraderie and promote teamwork. Men have held significant leadership roles from the beginning of time that have shaped the very fabric of today's society. I ask you, Hufflepuff, members of Hufflepuff, where would the world be today without men? Men from Dr. Eric Williams to Martin Luther King, who are exemplary leaders, have paved the way for our independence and freedom of rights. Again, I ask, where would we be today? Where would we be today without men's leadership? Headmaster, with that, I end my conclusion to the House Gryffindor.
Thank you, Mr. Weasley and Miss Granger. We will now pause for a 2-minute intermission. Your time remaining was 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So I saw Tony Marie asked in the group, in the chat feature, if someone who is not debating right now could interject, and I would allow you to ask any questions you have now. Tony? Okay, I guess since you don't want to ask anymore. Whitney, you have a question? Okay, guys, so that concludes the intermission. I now invite Mr. Bones and Mr. Abbott, if I am correct, to conclude for Team Hufflepuff.
Thank you, Headmaster and honorable members of the House. This ongoing debate of who are better leaders has been going on and on since ages. Women have also had better managerial and certain specific abilities that are just gifted to them. According to CNN, as an entire world works to contain the spread of coronavirus, the role of effective leadership has been brought into razor-sharp focus. What people need now are leaders with empathy, compassion, and an ability to show support, which are skills that women leaders tend to exhibit more than men. While it may take a global pandemic to fully acknowledge the unique talents and capabilities women leaders offer, research found that women tend to adopt a more relational leadership approach, which is more effective in a crisis compared to the more traditional command control type of leadership typically adopted by men. According to Forbes, the Prime Minister of Iceland gave free COVID testing to her citizens, which was not limited to persons that were experiencing symptoms as compared to other countries. She also implemented a tracking system of persons who were infected to keep the spread rate to a very minimum. Due to her implications, to date, Iceland has 27 deaths in a population of 356,991 persons. Finland is another country added to the list of countries that cope best with COVID. The Prime Minister acted swiftly when the number of infections skyrocketed. She imposed a 2-month lockdown, which did help to slow down the virus. To date, Finland's population is 5.5 million, and they have managed only 28,242 cases and 415 deaths. The empathy and care which all of these female leaders have communicated seems to come from an alternative universe than the one we have gotten used to. According to an article by Women Now, women are great at motivating others. They also deal with emotions better than men because men have phobias when it comes to emotions. A study also reveals that people working under women are more engaged than those under men. Women has a natural instinct to bring everyone together, and they are also accustomed to playing many roles, which makes them great multitaskers. Women have a lot more patience than men. They do not rush into things without thinking through it. Women are able to balance professional and personal leadership skills. They are also empathetic and value relationships, and this enables them to have a strong understanding of what drives people. Women also take the time to listen instead of reacting right away, and they also appreciate views of other people. Women constantly demonstrate passion and enthusiasm and are always willing to serve others, and this is evidenced by the leaders we have spoke about earlier. Headmaster, that concludes my statement, and I would like to introduce Hannah Abbott to close our argument.
Um, is it just me, or is it just me not hearing the person?
Wait, nobody hear me?
No, sorry.
I didn't hear the ending of your statement. If you ended, if that's what happened, it just
Oh,
kind of cut off for
jeez.
me.
So, what should I
No,
do?
we heard
The
Miss
person that
Ramage
handed it over to Miss Abbott.
and then Hannah.
Wait, I didn't hear anybody.
I believe the person
Miss
who's supposed
Abbott.
to be speaking
Did she say
now,
anything? I couldn't hear.
Mrs. Ali, I'm not hearing her.
Miss Ali? Anybody from Hufflepuff know what's going on with Miss Ali's mic or? Aruna, seeing you typing in the chat. Nobody's hearing you.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Miss Ali's communication.
Okay, because of technical difficulties, are allowing a minute to figure out what's going on.
Hello?
Hi, Aruna. Yes,
Okay,
we're
you
hearing
hear
you.
me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to add to Amanda's piece. Some researchers have concluded that they observed emotional differences between men and women primarily stem from socialized gender roles rather than biology. Headmaster, the opposition respects the points of the consensus and agrees that there is not sufficient statistics to support the matter, given that history has told women were not privileged enough to have been given the opportunity to be in leadership positions. However, with these changing times, that is, in the presence of a pandemic and the promotion of gender equality, persons such as Sangwen and Jacinda Ardern, as one of my honorable members of Hufflepuff mentioned, has proven to us that women are capable of being exceptional leaders. While it is not implied that all male leaders are not good leaders, however, based on extensive research, our team Hufflepuff has concluded female leaders do make better leaders than men. Headmaster, with that, we end our argument.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Owens and Ms. Abbott. This concludes the debate topic that men make better leaders than women. At this point, so we'll stop the recording and we will go into groups to mark each other. Thank you, Team Gryffindor and Team Hufflepuff.